And here we are Saturday afternoon at 2:30, and this is Alabama Matters. I'm your co-host, Anthony McGinnis.
I'm Robert McGinnis, with my brother Anthony.
And we're going to be talking about a few things concerning Joe Biden and a few sound bites that I have picked up from the internet that is really interesting. Some of them are even funny. So y'all are really going to enjoy this show today.
And Anthony, if you will, I want to start out with the soundbite that you had played for me earlier, because I want to put the people into. I want to remind them of something that Joe Biden had said before.
Okay.
And because I want to expound on that and talk about that for just a little bit. It's going to go into one of the reasons why I'm running.
All right, I'm going to play that clip right now. Hang on just a second. Having a little technical difficulty.
But we got more questions. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see. Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP's endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record. All right.
So I wanted the people to hear that, to remind them of that, first of all. But did you hear the man on there? He said, "This ain't about Trump."
Right. It was a black man. He was saying, "This ain't about Trump. This is about my community."
And that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to talk about for just a minute. You know, voting should not be about Trump. It shouldn't be about Biden. It should be about the community, like he said.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and see, now I'm bringing that up because Alabama is known for voting Republican. I mean, hands down.
That's true.
Bill Hemmer actually said, he was talking about when Katie Britt had won the Republican nominee, from the out of the primaries.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, she's most likely going to be the next senator from Alabama." And I went, "How sad." I thought, how sad that he would just automatically assume because she got the Republican nominee the candidate, that she was going to be the next senator. But I could understand why he would say that.
I don't.
Well, but it's because Alabama has historically voted Republican, except for that one time when Roy Moore was running.
Right.
And so
maybe because she's a woman Republican, that they think she has a better shot of winning the seat than a Republican man.
I think it's got more to do with the history of Alabama automatically going for the Republican Party. Doug Jones. Here's the deal. Doug Jones got to be senator simply because Alabama did not like Roy Moore.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. And had there been a third choice, Doug Jones, in my opinion, would not have been senator. You see? So I'm running because the country is in such a bad way now that Alabama has got an opportunity to be a part of the solution. But how can they be a part of the solution if they don't have a third choice? When they just normally vote Republican. You see what I'm saying? They rubber stamp this thing because they go, and I lean towards a lot more like what Martin Luther King Jr. used to say when he was alive.
Yeah.
He said that a person ought to be known for his character more than their skin color.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to take. That means that someone's going to have to be willing to go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to run on my own merit, and I'm going to see if the people will look at me, judge my character, decide if I'm the type of person that they want to represent them. And that's represent. I don't like that word. And I know that senators, they use that a lot,
Right.
But senators are really supposed to be a voice of the people. Supposed to be a voice of the people. In order to do that, now, you asked me one time, Anthony, you asked me how I could expect to uh, have anybody support me since I didn't have officially hold a government office,
Right.
you know. But experience is what matters.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have to hold a government office in order to have that experience. And I've got all the qualification, all the experience that the people would want to have in someone who would represent them at the federal level.
Right.
Among those experiences, to get this, excuse me, a person, a real representative will communicate with their community leaders,
Mm-hmm.
pastors,
Right.
elected state officials, everybody who their go or any of their go to anybody that Alabama residents would choose to be their go to person.
Right.
That the senator needs to be actively talking to them, and then talking to the people themselves to get their understanding in what they want. See, because the people, in my opinion, I mean, think about it. You're the only person that can know what's best for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what
Yeah.
I think about Alabama too. Alabama knows they're the only one that's going to know what's best for them.
Yeah,
And,
that's true.
and senators are supposed to be the ones who are looking out on them. So they're going to have to go to them, say, "Hey, tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Tell me what we can do about this," and then take it to the federal level. But they don't do that.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
senators don't do that.
And today we are focusing our show towards our black audience.
Right.
And what you said uh, Martin Luther King, it also goes for you.
Yeah.
You know, judge you by your character, not your skin color.
Correct.
That's a two-way street there. You know, he was talking to a nation saying, "Hey, do not judge people by the color of their skin, but by their character."
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was referring to black people, but black people can do the same thing to white people
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a two-way street, and the black people in Alabama, they need to know who you are, not just because you're white. And that we don't believe that you're qualified for this seat because you're white. It's because, like you said, of experience that you've had on the street on a level that everybody can understand. Um, so yeah, I mean, today, like I said, we're more focusing towards our black listeners, and hopefully we can get their support, putting you in office.
Yeah.
Having said that, I have this soundbite of this black man. He is reacting to the
Press secretary.
press secretary while she's answering questions from the reporters, and it's hilarious. This dude,
And I know he's not the only one that feels this way.
he definitely not. But y'all take a listen to this. It's really, really funny.
Feeling. We understand that. Every time I hear them say that shit, I realize they trying to play us like we boo-boo the fool. We understand that inflation is hurting families. No, I think if you understand, you will actually be trying to do something. Y'all ain't doing nothing but providing us lip service because you know we know what the fuck y'all doing. When they are around the kitchen table, when they're trying to figure out what to eat, how we gonna pay the rent, how we gonna put some gas in the car, how we gonna pay for the tuition, how we gonna pay for the school registration fee, how we gonna pay for the phone bill. So we understand that families are hurting right now. You can play all you want. Each and every one of these American citizens see y'all sending our tax dollars overseas to Ukraine and any other country y'all in cahoots with. That is why the president has been laser focused. Laser what? That man look like he got the cognitive skills of a big bowl of freshly made boxed mashed potatoes with no butter. You have lost your mind. Save them hubs and keep your lies. We don't want to hear shit from y'all till y'all out the White House. We've seen the gas prices go down. Where? We believe that that is going to continue. That's going to be a trend that we will continue to see. The only trends we continue to see is y'all tell lie after lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. If it wasn't ever seen at no point throughout history, this is the first administration that people can actually say
working on this for months.
No, he been lying for months.
And we have to understand how we also got here.
We got here because of a rigged election, a rigged system, dirty politicians, and a whole bunch of other shit I can't talk about on this application.
With the increase of gas prices and food prices because of Mr. Putin's war in Ukraine.
Lord, I'm so tired of them blaming this shit on Vladimir. This ain't got nothing to do with Putin, farting, shitting, pissing, or none of that. This is because of y'all.
And how his unprecedented brutal war on Ukraine has caused prices to go up.
And what about y'all unprecedented brutal war on the American people? Now let me get this straight. All of the money that y'all sending over to Ukraine and Ukraine can't defeat Russia. Why don't y'all just tell the Ukraine they need to chill back? Let Russia go back home and do their thing, and we divert some of that money back here and reinvest it in our own economy with our own people. Ukraine's problems with Russia don't got shit to do with the American people. It don't got nothing to do with our taxpayer dollars.
To say that the president has not been passionate, to say that this president has not been focused, is just not true.
Oh, he nailed it on the head.
He's telling the truth. It ain't got nothing to do with Putin.
Nothing to do with Ukraine or any of that.
It's got to do with people not caring about the American people.
Exactly.
And I do care. I do.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm hoping that other senators will start doing the same thing, that they'll focus more on the people in their own state than wanting to keep their own job.
And that's what it's about. They are so keen and so worried about losing their seat than they are doing what's right for the people.
Yeah. And I was telling somebody just the other day that this January 6th committee, I said, this is more like they were offended. Now they were offended and they want to keep their job.
Right.
Okay. So they were offended by the people coming up there saying, hey, this is our house. You work for us. And so how dare you come in here and think that you can just come in here and this is our Capitol Hill. Well, y'all don't know. They get all offended because they're all up and everything. Now they want to keep their job because they realize that they done messed up and people are going to kick them out. Now they want to play the blame game. And try, so they're really treading water, They done got so arrogant they done lost the reason they were being there, for being there.
Exactly. It's just, I don't trust most politicians because most of them are in it just for themselves.
Someone brought that up, to me the other day. They said, politicians get rich and everything. I said, they probably do. They said, are you doing it for that reason? I said, I'm coming out of retirement for this. So it's not about the money. It's because I believe that I can be a part of the solution if the residents of Alabama will let me be part of the solution.
Right.
I know unlike Biden, I am laser focused on what who the boss is. I'm laser focused on that a public servant is there to serve the public.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like this. If a space alien came down here and started asking questions, they would be so confused on who we are as a people, on our thought process, on our policies. And there's this soundbite I have. This dude is doing a skit. He's acting like he come from outer space, and he's asking questions to a protester.
Yeah.
But let me play that. This one's pretty funny too. Just take a listen to this.
Hello. I'm from another planet in a far-off solar system. Where am I? You're in the stupid United States of America on stupid Earth. What are you doing here? Standing up for a woman's right to have an abortion? Oh, what's an abortion? It's the termination of a human pregnancy. Sounds intense. And what's the reason? There are lots of reasons, and it's none of your business. Okay. Yeah. And so you just kill the baby after it's born? No. Gosh, no. That's horrible. Okay, so you kill them before they come out. Of course, that's more humane. Right. But still killing babies, right? No, they're not babies. All right. I mean, they're still in the mother's womb, and they're small. Oh, okay. So you kill all small people? No. Okay. No, we don't kill small people, and we don't kill babies. So the little mini baby that's inside there, it's not alive. Well, no. Yeah. I mean, of course it's alive. Okay, so yes to killing babies. No, we're terminating the pregnancy. I think maybe you're just changing the words, but it's still the same thing. It's just a fetus, and it hasn't reached the stage of viability. So it's almost a baby. Whatever. It's a woman's right to choose to kill the baby, to have an abortion. And what does the almost baby have to say about that? It doesn't say anything. It can't talk yet. And what else do you do? I volunteer at animal shelters. What's that? Where they keep unwanted animals. Oh, and do you kill them too? What? No, my gosh, you savage. It's a no-kill shelter. Oh, okay. Well, nice meeting you, sir. I'm a woman. Go ahead and beat me up. That's funny.
So, you know what? Let me just say this. I think the United States Supreme Court got it right. Personally, I think they got it right as far as giving the states control back over that, over deciding that. I think that for the foremost, I think that Alabama, they it ought to be a limited situation as far as abortion goes. I think that's the way Alabama. I think Alabama residents think that if there's a way to save the baby, then they should. You know, like I was saying before, though, I have to check my values at the door in order to represent theirs.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that Alabama does not support abortion on demand.
That's exactly right.
You know, and I can, and the way I feel about it is, or I say you, we can't get pregnant, but how does anybody justify a non-medical an abortion that's not medically necessary?
And see, that makes so much sense. There is no justification.
I don't know how they do that.
If it's not medically necessary, just because you don't want a child doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what do you think? Oh, I got pregnant. It's going to destroy my life. No, it's not. Right. There are other options. There is adoption, and then you adopt your baby out, and you go live your life. It doesn't mean you have to kill a baby just to live your life.
You know, when I was about 50. I'm 59, by the way. But when I was about 15, I guess I was. I went out the back door. It was a winter, and it was ice all over the ground. And the girl next door was sliding across the backyard on this ice, on her stomach, killing her unborn baby.
Or trying to?
Oh no, she lost it. She lost it.
But you do know that they can get her for murder for doing that.
You know, well, I know.
No, that I have read somewhere. If a woman or anybody intentionally harms a pregnant woman and the woman ends up losing that baby.
Well, yeah, but she's the one that did it.
She could be charged with murder. But if she went to the route of going and getting an abortion, it's not murder. Now, make sense out of that.
I don't understand. They're saying, hey, it's not murder if we do it.
Exactly. Exactly. No, that is true. There are laws in place where you cannot harm a pregnant woman, and if you do,
the government is saying it's not murder if we do it.
Yeah.
If the government said, like if I'm the government, said, "Hey, it's not murder if I do it."
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But if she could have been charged with murder.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I think one thing that I on this episode, I said Simon Says, and I put on the about section, it said government control versus freedom of the states to self-govern over issues such as abortion, gun control, freedom of speech, even transgender, gender identity, that kind of thing.
Right.
So all those things have one thing in common: government control.
Right.
The government telling the states what they're going to do in their own state. And
misinformation. There's a lot of Democratic and liberal people who like to take a subject and twist it and make it sound like it's the other party's idea when it's actually their idea.
Right.
And one of the sound bites I have pulled up, this woman talks about that misinformation, how liberals and Democrats like to twist things.
Yeah.
And if you just hang on
Yeah.
for a second. Let her. You can listen to this, and she's talking about exactly what we're just
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
Leftist disciples and Democrats. Let's talk about what misinformation is. And no, misinformation is not just information that you disagree with. Misinformation is misleading information that has the potential to harm vulnerable groups. You use misinformation in these two ways: euphemisms and the misuse of words that used to carry weight, but because you've overused them in inappropriate contexts, no longer carry any weight. Let me explain. Euphemisms are the use of words and phrases in order to mask the malevolence behind those words. For example, number one, you're not reimagining anything. What you're doing is you're tearing down our fundamental institutions that are the bedrock of our civilization and societal stability. Two, it's not gender affirming care. What it is, it's the use of pharmaceutical drugs and major surgery that has a very high rate of complications and is also irreversible to children. It's not women's health care, okay? And it's not a fetus, okay? It is the termination of a baby. Now let's get to that second strategy that you use. This is the misuse of words like racist, transphobic, or fascist. See, one, it's not racism, again, just because you disagree with it. But you know what is racist? It's you constantly feeding minority groups the victimhood mentality line that they are oppressed and that they need you to fix it for them because they can't fix it themselves. Two, it's not transphobic just because we don't think that children should be making life-altering decisions. And please just look up what the word phobic actually means. That word, that word doesn't mean what you think it means. But what does hurt the trans community is you commandeering the trans community to push your savior complex and your political agenda. And three, one thing I do agree with is we are losing our democracy to fascists. But see, you don't have it quite right. The rules aren't quite right. See, you are the fascists. You push for more government control. You push for more autocracy. You push for legislation that puts more power in your hands than the power in the hands of the people. See, many of us, we do realize what game it is that you're playing. And for those who don't understand necessarily, the ones that you claim to care about that can't fix these problems themselves, you only care about using those words when they're politically advantageous to you so that you can brainwash and manipulate them. So if you would like to know what the word manipulate means, go ahead and look that up. If you'd like to know what the word brainwash means, go ahead and look that up because that's what you do.
Here you go.
100%.
Yep.
100%. She's saying that, and that's what I was just talking about before, is that it's government control. Them telling people, look, the government want, they say gun violence, and we've already discussed that before.
Right.
But it's about control. See, the first thing that a government does is disarm the public.
That's the first thing they do.
So that they can have government control, But see, the reason I said before that I think the U.S. Supreme Court got that right by kicking the abortion issue back down to the states because it diversifies control to among the states.
Exactly.
And when you do that, it's not centralized government. Now it's the people could have control over what's going to go on in their own states.
And see, that's what I was talking about. People get things backwards, saying it's the other party's fault. When the government said, "Hey, no, we're going to put this back in y'all's hands," and they get upset over it. When birth control, when abortion was before with Roe versus Wade, it was in federal hands. They put it back to the states and put it back to the people's hands, and they're upset about it. And they're getting exactly what they're asking for. They want control over their bodies, their decision. Well, that's what they got is at the state level now instead of at the federal level.
But see, they lost control. The fascists, is just what this woman said. They're fascists because they lost control over telling the states, the people in the individual states, they lost control over telling people in their individual states, you will do as I say. That's what Simon says. You will do it this way. I don't care if you like it, lump it or get over it. Doesn't matter. This is the way it's going to be. And bring up that 10-year-old girl that said was got raped. Okay,
Yeah.
you know what the biggest argument? You know what the argument was? That she was inconvenienced about having to go to another. By the way, she didn't have to go to another state. It turns out, but they were angry because she was inconvenienced that she had to leave the state in order to go get an abortion. It was about the inconvenience. It wasn't about the abortion itself. It was about the inconvenience in getting one.
Oh.
You know, and so it's about control, and that's what the fascist is all about. It's fascist is about socialism, communism, totalitarianism,
Right.
And again, let me just say it because ding, 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 you got it right. Your Supreme Court, you put it back into the state's hands. And I'm going to tell you something else that they should have never taken that out of that state's hands, and that's same-sex marriage.
That is true.
Same-sex marriage, they should have never. Anything that's a social issue should remain at the state level.
You are so right.
At the state level, because centralized government is nothing more than centralized. I mean, government controls centralized government.
It's communism.
Communism.
That's when the government has control over every social issue that we have. That is communism.
Right.
That's what Russia does. That's what North Korea does.
Right.
That's what China does.
Right.
They have control over their people all the way up to down to the state levels or whatever they have, and they're communist.
I heard on TV there's a woman in Norway that's facing a 3-year sentence for saying that a man cannot be a lesbian.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Facing a 3-year sentence in prison for saying that a man cannot be a lesbian. Well, I mean, that's factually correct.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
But the fact here, the reason it's not about the facts. It's about they don't want to hear her saying that.
Right.
It goes against their narrative.
Yeah, right.
They consider and whatever they don't like, they're going to consider hate speech.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's how they're coming at it like that. They want all that here in the United States, but you know what? November's coming.
That's right.
And I hope I pray that the people of Alabama will let me be a part of the solution.
Exactly. And one of those problems that we're having right now is they're wanting pushing for gun control.
Right.
And their argument is that we have the highest mass shootings in the world. Well, I have a clip here that says different about mass shootings.
Misinformation
that the Democrats and the liberals love to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And saying it's on the other party. No.
Misleading information.
Misinformation. And let me see if I can find this clip.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
This should put us right there. Oh yeah, I see that. This 1 minute. This will take 1 minute.
17. From 1998 to 2017, with 2,772 attacks and at least 5,764 shooters outside the United States. It was 62 attacks that happened inside the United States. By our count, the U.S. makes up less than 1.13% of the mass public shooters and only 2.19% of attacks. All these are much less than the U.S.'s 4.6% share of the world population. Attacks in the United States are not only less frequent than other countries, but are also much less deadly on average.
See?
Out of the 101 countries where we have identified mass public shootings occurring, the United States ranks 66th in per capita frequency of these attacks and 56 in the murder rate. Not only have these attacks been much more common outside the U.S., the U.S.'s share of these attacks has declined over time.
You see there?
That's
that,
right.
that misinformation that's saying about this gun control
Well, like
stuff.
that woman was saying that they have put their own narrative out there to push their own agenda.
Exactly, and that's what they're going about with these guns too.
Well, I promise the people of Alabama I will find out facts like that, and I'll bring it to them and let them have the final say in as far as how they want me to vote on gun control
There you go.
and all that.
There you go.
I'll bring it to them, and they'll have the final say. Ain't going to be flipping a coin like they used. They go up there, and you don't hear from the senators anymore. They don't forget who they voted. I mean, who voted for them and all.
And if they stop taking things at face value and look up the facts for themselves,
Right.
they will see the truth.
Right.
So,
Well, that's. I mean, the people of Alabama is going to have a voice if they'll vote for me, and the only way that my name's going to get on that ballot is if they put it there.
exactly.
And so that's what I'm asking them to do. And we are out of time because we only just limit this to 30 minutes, and we went over just a little bit. But if you will vote for me in November, Robert D. McGinnis, McGinnis, and fill in that little oval, and that's the only way my name's going to get on that ballot. So I want to thank you for listening.
And God bless and have a great week.